What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of The Captain's Run. Oh my God. I know, I understand people that don't like the Broncos. It's going to be a painful listen. I get it. But just let me enjoy this. Just let me enjoy this. I promise you it won't do it again next week. Just let me enjoy this one episode where we get to bask in the glory of a famous Brisbane Broncos premiership win. Oh, wow. Maestro, how you going, mate?
Very well, Kempy. We were talking about it just before we came to air. So much happened in that grand final. The emotional roller coaster ride. I can only imagine. Would have loved to be a fly on the wall in the Kemp household, watching you ride the boys from that low to the high at the end of it all, amongst Reynolds getting taken off, Benny Hunt getting taken off, Manman smoothie ending in the halves. It was just a fantastic grand final. Well done to the Broncos. Came from nowhere. Vindication for Madge. So many storylines for us to pull at today.
Unbelievable stuff. Like, it just... Anyway, we'll talk about what's Bronco celebrations, best moments, toilet cups, Ricky's Buzz Rothfield spray, Stags on the Accor Stadium mower. We've got Kangaroos and Pack Champs teams named. Reece Walsh's grand final performance set to land him the starting fullback role for Kevy. R360 continues to rumble around the background with Munster, the latest target. Also, Payne Haas allegedly... requesting $3 million, although he's not having a meeting. Grand final record ratings, giving the league bragging rights over the AFL. And Justin Horo joins us for the final hour to preview the pack games and obviously go over the grand final. I mean, I don't really know where to start. I understand that everything I say from here on out, some people are just going to say it's biased. I get it. I get it. But this is just how I feel. That was the greatest grand final series I've ever watched. I've never seen game after game after game, at least on the Broncos side of things, that you could argue is game of the season. You know, the Canberra Raiders one, I've literally never seen anything like that. The Penrith Panthers one, the dynasty ending. The Melbourne Storm game, grand final, both halves going down. The winger going down. The Storm lose Howarth. The boys are down 10 points at half-time against arguably the best defensive club we've seen in the last 20 years. Come back out in the second half, and then it's just Reece Walsh. I mean, he did in the first half too. But then you got Reece Walsh's first try. Like, we're thinking about all the try assists and all the other big moments he had. Like, I was just watching the try that took him ahead for Shibasaki. If you watch the whole set, Reece Walsh in the same set caused the line break on his own 30 for Tony Staggs and Dean Mariner. Like, so Reece Walsh, that he created 2 line breaks that set because they had the ball from their own 20 all the way to score in the corner, and it was all on Reece Walsh. Me personally, like, I know that the debate is between Cleary and Walsh. Now, I reckon that 20 minutes by Cleary will never be beaten. Like, 18 behind, like, you'll never be able to, like, oh, maybe you will, but I don't think you'll ever be able to beat that 20 minutes. Like, that was just insanity. But an 80-minute grand final performance, in my personal opinion, it's the greatest I've ever seen. It had everything. Even if you just had the attacking side of things, you could argue it's one of the better ones. The defense, there was 3 try savers. You could argue he had his hand in about, if you include the try savers as tries, you could argue he had his hand in about 7 tries on grand final night. It was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So here's some of the big moments. So at the start of the game, I'm brought to you by Chemist Warehouse, guys. Here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions, save more money at Chemist Warehouse. And also powered by Lontel Internet. Daily pricing, guys. You don't get charged for the whole month. Daily pricing, so you can adjust it to what you want. You can pause it, whatever you want. Lontel.net.au/bloke. Okay, 2 minutes. Dean Mariner almost bombs the opening try. I couldn't believe that, bro. There was one angle where it looked like he did. And I was going, why? Why are you doing that? Like, you've got Reynolds, one of the better kickers in the whole comp, and you're skimming across the dead ball line. Anyway, I guess, you know, it's actually in a nutshell that kind of almost arrogance / confidence the Broncos have had all final series, you know, that doing things that you just really shouldn't do. Anyway, so he gets over. But then after that, it was all the Storm. And look, I'm not going to lie and sit here and go, oh, yeah, no, I always knew the Broncos were going to come back. When the Storm started rolling, I was like, oh, no. Like, the Storm are playing perfect, and I mean perfect, grand final football. They're getting down quick. Like, if you watch Trent Leoro in that first half, he was literally diving at the ground. The Storm was so smart in identifying that Atkins didn't want to blow the whistle as much as obviously other refs. And especially with the whole surrender tackle, it doesn't get called as much anymore. Like the amount of times people actually surrender and the ref never says anything because they're so focused on quick play the balls now in rugby league. So it was a genius by Bellamy and the Storm where they were just seriously diving at the ground. They weren't really fighting for anything, which is exactly what they needed because fast play the balls, that's how they score. So they score the first try with Meany, and I'm going, oh, that was pretty easy. That was a pretty easy try. Because, like, even the one that Reece Walsh set up, like, that was hard. Like, only Reece Walsh does that. Anyway, so the Meany try happens, I'm going, okay, all right, one try, we'll get back in the groove of things. Then Katoa scores off a kick, which is something that even Reece Walsh would have been aware was coming, and he wasn't there, and you're going, oh, man, okay, so, like, even a thing that he would have defended and thought about all week long, he couldn't get across for it. Even if he was in the right positioning, he may not have got there because it was such a perfect kick. Anyway, so then the high shot happens on Xavier Coates. Now, me personally, I understand why people say that that's a sin bin all year. I don't want a sin bin for that in the grand final. I think it'd be insane to sin bin that for a grand final. And I know a lot of people like to focus on Reece Walsh's high shot, but people are forgetting Jerome Hughes' high shot. That was exactly the same, if not a little bit worse, and he didn't get 10 in the bin. So it's even. Like I know a lot of people are trying to focus on Reece Walsh and say he's a protected species. Jerome Hughes did the exact same thing, and he didn't go. And I think that's good reffing. Like, imagine how different this grand final could have been if Hughes and Walsh went off. Like, it would have been terrible. Okay, so Reece Walsh heads high. Most Broncos fans heart beating a million miles an hour. Then Storm score their third. Warwick beats three Broncos, and then that's it's 16-6, and it's just going, okay, wow, like this is the Storm in a grand final are not going to let a 10-point lead slide. How are you feeling at this point in the game where Storm are just all on top?
I was feeling the same way, Kempy, and it's a lot of the stuff you've talked to already. The Walsh moment was one that I thought turned it because if he sent at that 10 minute, and there was a couple of these moments for the Broncos over the course of the game, the other side of halftime as well with the try saver. If that try is scored, and I know you're about to get onto it, like that's game over. If Tui Kamikamica puts that ball down, I don't think there's any way the Broncos, even as hot as they were in the last 30 minutes, would have been able to play that off. And the way that they kept battling through that game, the way they didn't lose their composure, all these little things that might have happened even earlier in the season, I think it's a big vindication for Madge Maguire, the way he got them in, reset at halftime, and turned that game around. Because I was the same as you. The Storm were playing close to faultless footy, and that wasn't the same in the second half, where there were errors, they were dropping the footy, it all looked a little bit clunkier, and I think that's all down to the pressure the Broncos put on them after the break.
So they go 16-6 up. And then Reece Walsh scores one of the great grand final tries. When that happened, I kept thinking, okay, he's going to get tackled now. Okay, he's going to get tackled now. Or he's going to get held up. They're going to pull him back because there's so many players around him. The strength, and such a good example of speed is strength. Speed is strength. And so, like, you see a lot of these little fellas that are breaking through tackles. It's not because they're big. It's because they're gaining momentum at such a high rate. And so for Reece Walsh to move like that at full speed is magical to watch. But he wasn't done there. So Hughes scores just before halftime, and I'm back really nervous because I'm like, okay, now Hughes is on. Because before that, Hughes had been okay, but now we've got Hughes, the Dally M winner, just tearing us apart. We go into halftime, 22-20. There was a small glimmer of hope, but I just thought, look, what's more likely? The Broncos have another comeback, or the Melbourne Storm, notorious for just squeezing the life out of teams, wins this premiership. Anyway, so the second week comes out. 44th minute, the biggest moment in probably the whole game happens. Kamikamica goes to put the ball down. He probably could have just held it on his chest, but he wouldn't have known that Reece Walsh was there. Reece Walsh, try saver, he spills the ball. Then after that, 3 minutes later, Shibasaki scores first in that next set. It is literally a 12-point turnaround, or a 10-point if you got the thing on. And so that was when Mam came on. And also, Mam coming on also changed the contest. He was absolutely phenomenal, Ezra Mam. Okay, Karapani crosses, but Grant Atkins says Walsh's pass is forward. And that was I felt that was a bit of a 50-50 call. Like, sometimes they let it go, sometimes they don't, but I was okay with it. Like, 50-50 ones on the fly, I've got no issue with whether they get it right or wrong because it's hard to get. Anyway, then we go, Reynolds goes off with a calf injury. Reynolds goes off with a calf injury. Mam shifts into the halves. Karapani crosses, but it gets disallowed. So in that last little 3-4 minutes, we've lost our half and we had a try disallowed. Very easy for momentum to just go stop right there. And then all of a sudden, Reece Walsh just goes to another level. Dean Mariner gets his second try. And one of the unsung moments of this entire grand final, and it hasn't been spoken about enough, was Corey Pakes' pass as he was getting pushed to Reece Walsh. The fact that he was able to get that in Reece Walsh's hands in the right spot where he could throw a quick cutout ball to the edge was absolutely phenomenal. It'll be one of the unsung hero moments of the grand final. Him getting pushed and still nailing that pass. They go across. Mariner gets his second try. 59th minute. Shibasaki scores his second and Brisbane lead for the first time. And matter of fact, before this 59-minute, for the entire series, the entire final series, the Broncos had only led for 13 minutes of the entire final series. So after the 59th minute, you're looking at I'll say 33 minutes or something like that. They only led for 30 minutes of the entire final series. Okay, then Pappenhuisen breaks the line from a Storm scrum, opts to try and flick the ball in because Reece Walsh, once again, look, I always felt Reece Walsh's first 10 was the best in the competition. Lightning. His top speed is good, but is it great? I mean, he showed it's pretty great at the moment because when he hit that top speed to catch Pappy never gets caught like that. So they flick back in. Ezra Mam's chasing back as well. Then, so you're at the 59-minute. You've got 21 minutes to defend a 4-point lead against the premiership heavyweight favourites that their attack is essentially one of the best in the competition. Then Lioro is sent to the sin bin for a high shot, which, I know some people have tried to say it's the same as Hughes, it's the same as Reece Walsh. It wasn't. That was a substantially worse high shot. And I actually think if it wasn't a grand final, he probably would have got sent off. But I'm happy with the 10. Anyway, so he gets sent to the sin bin, but then it's not over. So you're at the 70th minute. You think, okay, they're gonna end this. They're gonna kick down. They're gonna defend. Yeah, there'll be some scramble. Be all good. They kick down, and then Shibasaki misses the tackle on Katoa. And I'm sitting there when I'm watching it. I'm going, we're done. This is the moment that Storm will remember forever, where they came back after Broncos came back in a famous grand final. Pappy's going to be the hero. Reece Walsh, in my opinion, pulls off one of the greatest defensive plays in a grand final I've ever seen. Now, obviously, Scotty Sattler will always be the GOAT. You're never going to beat that. This was a stroke of genius. The ability to trust your outside men, the ability to understand that I think it was Ezra would probably get Katoa if Katoa dummies. So if Katoa dummies, Ezra was quick enough to get on the back of him. To trust that and then make the decision to dummy and then dive at Pappy's legs. Dive just off the bat. One of the great defensive plays. And then that happens. They spread it either side. I think that broke the Storm's heart. So when Pappy went down, I think that was just like, this is just, the footy gods just don't want us to win. They go spread to either side, and then Jordan Ricky makes the play, catches the ball, goes down. It's a famous 19-year drought victory. Michael Maguire in his first year at the Brisbane Broncos. Unbelievable.
And what do you make of this? What's your biggest takeaway from this grand final? There's a lot of amazing moments. Walsh's performance, I think, is one. Is there any other unsung heroes you want to shout out while we've got this platform before we get too many texts telling us to move on? Go through your list.
No, I tell you what, I'm not moving on. They won the grand final, so I'm not moving on. We'll be talking about it a bit more because they won the grand final. We'll talk about the Storm as well. But we'll get some quick texts and then we'll go to a break and come back. The only one question I have about such a brilliant game and the officiating is this. How did Xavier Willison get away without doing a HIA? By the time the play stops, he's already been interchanged. I mean, I guess. Kempy, come on. That wasn't 50-50. Okay. Where do the Broncos play Billy Walters, Ezra Mann, Reno Hunt? Yeah, it's a good question because although Reynolds was hugely instrumental in getting them to a grand final, they did seem to look to flow better with Hunt, Reynolds, and Billy.
I was going to make that point. I felt it was a blessing in disguise when he came off Reynolds because he looked shot. His kicking game hadn't been as clinical as it usually is. Do you think it actually was it a blessing in disguise for the Broncos that change came when it did, without wanting to be disrespectful to Reno?
Like, it's hard to say because you just don't know. We've seen them with Reno on the field. Absolutely, we saw him against the Panthers.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think it's I think some people think it's a clear cut. Yes, it was a blessing, but you just can't say that because They beat the Penrith Panthers the week before with Reno on the field, and he was the one that converted to score. And it was his play to Reece Walsh. He was the one that passed it to Walsh to pass it to Mariner. But overall, they have looked a lot smoother with Walters, Hunt, Walsh. However, I will say, like, you know, a whole preseason with Reno maybe adjusting his style a little bit, I'm sure he'll be able to take care of it. But incredible win. We're going to a break. We'll come back and we'll start talking a bit more about the Bronx, and then we'll get into the Storm and what went wrong. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, let's get into it. Okay, in regards to the Melbourne Storm, where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? Look, it's a tough one. You don't want to be too harsh on the Storm because they lost by 4 points to, you know, one of the great performances we've seen by an individual in Reece Walsh. However, it does feel like the one that got away. It really does. You know, they're up by 10 points. They've been the favourites essentially all season long. I think the biggest, takeaway from me for the Melbourne Storm this game is I was just quite surprised at their top-tier players not playing as well as we know they can. I thought Hughes was good. I thought Harry Grant was really quiet. I thought Munster was pretty quiet. I think before the last few minutes, I think he'd only had 3 runs. And maybe the game had got there, but like Harry Grant and Munster, like it's not like they can't do it. We've seen it in arguably bigger games in Origin. You know, so and then you go, okay, little moments like Pappy makes that break. He went for broke and to score in the corner. But if you're going to go for broke, you've got to get there. He flicks past inside. Should have he gone conservative and step back inside? So, yeah, I'd have to focus more on, Kamikamica dropped it over the line. He did. But in saying that, like, I know a lot of Storm fans are really frustrated there, but it's like you were still 10 points ahead. Like, you can't just blame Kamikamica. Even after he dropped that ball, you were still 10 points ahead. So, like, it's not like you went behind by 10 points because he dropped the ball. You still could have defended that lead kind of thing. So, yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from me was most of the big players probably they didn't impact the game enough, including Munster and Harry. And their forwards, when the game went to that premiership fast, aggressive level, when the Broncos were just energised beyond belief, I think the Storm forwards really struggled to go with them. And that's where I look at, you know, it's been a couple of years now where if Nelson's on the field, they probably win that game. They probably do because he is their big bopper. He is their Payne Haas. And I just think that it's going to be interesting to see what they do there because they've got a huge part of their salary cap locked up in Nelson. It sounds like he won't be there next year, so it's going to be interesting to see how they try and get into the club. But it really is going to be the one that got away because next year, if they don't make the grand final next year and win it, Bellamy could retire. Munster's most likely not going to be there. Pezzett might be there, he might not be there. Pappy doesn't look like he's going to be there. Matter of fact, he might be gone this year coming, at least some of the reports have said. So there's a real world where 2 of the 4 spine are gone. Then you've also got to look at Hughes will be 32 years old. So it's not like he's 31, 32. So he's not, you know, young. So it really could be the one that got away. Like, it really could be a tough pill to swallow. What do you reckon, Maestro?
Well, Munster said after the game he thought they defended too much. That's because they didn't keep possession of the ball. Was it as simple as that? Their completion rate in the second half just dropped off dramatically from being almost perfect in the first half. Was it the Broncos that caused that, Kempy, or is that something their forwards particularly, but also the guys that were around them have to take responsibility for?
I mean, I think they all have to because, you know, in the first half, they were at a 95% completion rate, 1 error. And then by the end of the game, they were all the way down to 80%.
Yep.
So they lost 15% of completion. And so, you know, they didn't have the ball. You're right. Some of it was because the Broncos were absolutely barnstorming, but some of it was just, you know, silly errors. Like I think Warbrick, he dropped the ball twice from a big shot from Ezra. You know, so just little things like that. And what's kind of strange is like with everything that went wrong for the Melbourne Storm, they were within a pass of winning the grand final. So it's hard to be too harsh on the Storm, but I can understand why Storm fans are really frustrated with the grand final because it really was there for them to win it. Like they got out to a good lead. They'd done everything right. The Broncos lost Benny Hunt. They lost Adam Reynolds. They lost Karapani. I know also the Storm lost some people too with Howarth and also Alec McDonald. So I'm not saying they didn't as well, but like I'd say 2 halves are probably pretty intense to lose towards the end there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Bellamy does going forward because It could be his last year, maybe. We never know. He's always toing and froing. If it isn't his last year, does he really want to essentially go into a full rebuild again? Because the difference between this generation change compared to their last from the big three is their last from the big three, you already knew who the next guys were. Harry Grant was ready there for Cam Smith. Munster was there for, Cooper Cronk or whoever, or Billy Slater, or Pappy was there for Billy Slater. And then you have Hughes that took over from Cooper Cronk essentially. Whereas at the moment, you've got Pezzett there, but I'm not sure if he's on the level of like a Munster just yet, because Munster was already like paying Origin and that. But outside of that, I'm not really sure who is the next up as the big dogs. Now, listen, I always back the Storm to sort it out. They're unbelievable, but there is a big question there. And,
you're right. It's what does that spine look like? Because as much as the Storm keep bringing through players who are performers and bit part players, it is those stars that they've relied on to get them over the line in these big games. And for all we talked about how they were going to shut down Harry Grant, how they were going to shut down Cam Munster, the fact of the matter is they faded out of the game in the second half. So perhaps on the evidence of the last two grand finals, they're not quite at the standard, even this generation, of the guys that were there, in the Slaters, the Cronks, the Smiths. That's a very high bar to hold them to.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that's what it takes to build these long-term winning sides, dynasties. I don't know if the Storm have got that in their locker at the moment. Maybe they'll prove us all wrong. They'll be back there. The markets that are already out have them equal favourites with the Broncos next year, which I don't think is any surprise. But there are some question marks because they weren't the dominant force this year. We've been saying it all the way through the regular season into the finals. There's been more doubts about them over the course of this season than I can remember surrounding a Storm side.
Yeah. Jeez, it's just, it's very, I feel the Storm's pain. I really do, because to get into a third grand final in a row, that is going to be so tough. Penrith Panthers are going to be substantially better next year. Like, there are a bunch of teams that are going to be substantially better next year. So, look, we're going to head to a break. And then when we come back, we've got plenty more to talk about, including what are the odds for next year, including Australian side and Samoa, Tonga side, all selected. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, it is all done. The grand final is wrapped up. Heading into next year, I guess the big question for the Broncos is that there is a risk of this brash side. They finally did it. The 20-year drought, essentially. Do they let their hair down? Now, I don't think Madge is going to allow that. We know he's a tough trainer, but that is probably it's not roster. It's not ability. It will be, are they willing to go again at that level of intensity? For me, the Penrith Panthers are the juggernaut to worry about next year. The fact that they were one try away from a grand final, and who knows what they would have done against the Melbourne Storm, and they were debuting and developing so many young guns that are only going to be better next year, that's a scary prospect. Rabbitohs full strength, that'll be interesting. The Melbourne Storm, if it is Bellamy's last year, that is arguably the greatest motivation in the history of rugby league. If it's Munster's last year, that's also motivation. So listen, there is a lot to like about next year's rugby league. And look, essentially, the biggest year in the history of rugby league was this year. Biggest ever grand final, highest ever ratings. It doesn't get much better than that. So what a season, what a grand final. And when I go back and look at some of those highlights from the final series, at least in my mind, it's the greatest final series I've ever watched, at least on the Broncos side of things. I've never seen that many games in a row where it has been edge of the seat, game of the year contender. Edge of the seat, game of the year contender. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to get into the international teams. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, got some texts here from some Storm fans. Beak, as a Storm fan, this one hurts a lot more than last year. Probably because the Storm were in control. An almost flawless first half, completing at 22-23. Moments that mattered. Kamikamica's failed grounding was a momentum shift that ended up being a Broncos tsunami. The absence of Nelson was once again felt, as it was last year. Nass is the point of difference, like Hass is for Brisbane. Storm lost to ruck and couldn't wrestle it back with a lack of impact from their smaller forwards and severe lack of general play kicking game. A bollocking Nass run or a big kick down can turn a bad set into a good one, and Melbourne didn't have either. Yeah, it's fair, mate. It's fair. It's like sometimes the hardest losses are the ones where you can easily pinpoint how you lost. Whereas I feel like, for example, last year, you looked at the Penrith Storm game and it was just like, it was such a grind fest. It's very hard to point at one person and go, oh, it was your fault or this is what you did wrong. It was just, okay, maybe the Penrith are just better at this style of footy. With the Broncos, they just ran out of puff, like against the Penrith Panthers a couple of years before. And it was Cleary's moment. It was destiny for him to do that. And so I understand where you're coming from for sure. Alrighty. Here's another text. Melbourne's kicking game was predictable. They took very few risks during round weeks. This performance wins the game. Madge just had more players with unpredictability up the Bronx. Hi, Denon. Don't underestimate the loss of Howarth for the Storm. Wishart is a gun 14, but not a centre. Lack of attack on the left also impacts Coates. Okay. G'day, gents. I've been waiting for this show, but now I've reflected on a great win to the Broncos. But you can analyse it all you want. It was simply Storm 22, Walsh 26. Take Walsh out of their 3 finals, and they don't win any of them. So don't get too carried away. But what a great season and a great finals. Cheers. Okay. So if Broncos didn't have the player that they have, they wouldn't have won. Okay. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Alrighty. International teams. So I've got the Tongan and Samoan one right here. And I should have the Australian one here too as well. But we'll go through. Okay, it's not. Oh, here it is. Okay, Kangaroos. The ARL confirmed last night that Bradman Best and Josh Adokar had been called into the squad to replace injured players Coates and Lomax. Fullback is Reece Walsh and Edwards. Wingers are Adokar and Nwanga Nitawase. Centres, Best, Shibasaki, Stags. What a journey for Shibasaki, like. Insane. Halves are Cleary, Dearden, Moses, Munster, Strange. Jeez, a lot of halves, eh? Holy. Hookers, Grant, Brayley. Props, Collins, Cotter, Kalamatangi. Second rowers, Crichton, Jacob Preston, Lindsay Smith, Hudson Young. I think was Paddy Carrigan. I think it might have, yeah.
May have missed him there.
Yeah. Paddy Carrigan as a prop. Isaiah Yeo and Tino. I think Tino will be used as a prop, I think. I think the starting props will be Paddy, Tino, and then off the bench, I think you'll either go Ruben and Keon or Lindsay and Keon or vice versa. In regards to this side, look, it's a great side. It's a really good side. And what's exciting is that, yes, we have lost some players to some of the Polynesian, sides or teams or whatever. However, it kind of just makes it more interesting because it just brings us a little bit closer to the pack. Because I look at some of these other forward packs compared to ours, and they're equally as good. So I'm looking at the Tonga forward pack. They got Adam Fanua-Blake, Leka Halasima, Fini Fuaki, Katoa. Jason Taumalolo, Uto Ikamanu, Vaimunga. That is going to be an absolute battle between. So that's the Tongan forward pack. And then the Samoan forward pack. Junior Bowlaw, Josh Papali'i, Payne Haas, Simi Sasangi, Terrell May, Francis Molo, Jaden Sewer, Jazz Tavanga, and Jeremiah Nanai. That's exciting. That is so... all 3 of those forward packs, all 3 of them could beat each other on a day. Whereas that never used to happen. So that's super exciting. We've also got the Kiwi selection. This is a Kiwis forward pack. Nelson Asafa Solomona, Aaron Clark, the Dally M 13 of the year, James Fisher-Harris, Moses Leota, Nikita, Isaiah Papali'i, Sorensen, Tarpane, and Nafahu White, Xavier Willison. I reckon the Kiwis have got the best pack.
I think you're right, and it's going to be interesting to see as well how the little guys come into it, because you look at Isaiah Katoa playing for Tonga. Samoa obviously got Jerome Luai in that side, and Kieran Foran named to play for the Kiwis because they got a couple of out with Hughes trying to basically come back from that broken arm and a couple of injury niggles that he's had. So there's some really good battles. We're going to get 3 really good Sundays of international football over here, and obviously the Aussies going over to Wembley to take on England. Very interested to see that squad when it comes out as well, Kempy, because I think it's going to be a lot of NRL players going over to play in that series. And then you've got guys that we haven't seen for a while. Your Batemans, your George Williams is going to be part of that England side. And then guys like Herbie Farnworth, who's going to be in and provide that side some X factor as well. So not going to be straightforward for the Kangaroos, as we've talked about. Are you worried about the balance of that side at all? They're a little light in the backs, and Kevy's obviously stocked the halves, thinking they need that X factor if one or two of them do go down.
So I'm looking at this Kiwis forward pack. The starting forward pack would be James Fisher-Harris and Leota. At 13, you would have to say it'll be Aaron Clark, probably.
Yep.
Probably. You know what, actually? It'll be Tarpane. Holy shit. Oh, my God. So their front row is going to be Tarpane, Leota, Fisher-Harris, and then off the bench, they'll have Aaron Clark, Scott Sorensen, Papali'i, or Britton Nikita. Or Nelson Asafa-Solomona. Okay, so wow. So they're going to rotate Leota and Fish for Nelson Asafa-Solomona and Nafahu White.
That's better than Origin standard.
That is insane, bro.
Yeah.
That is actually insane. That might be one of the craziest forward packs I've ever seen in my life.
Building up for a nice World Cup next year.
Like, you've got the 4-time premiership back-to-back winners. You've got Tarpane, who was probably the best front rower in the competition with Haas this year. You've got Nafahu White, which was the boom front rower this year at the Roosters. You've got Nelson Asafa-Solomona, who at his best is as good as anyone, as good as anyone. Then you've got Aaron Clark, who won the Dally M for the 13. Wow. Far out. What? And then I didn't even mention him. Xavier Willison, grand final hero. He was our best forward. Holy. So compare that against Tino, Paddy, and then it'll be Yo at the lock. And on the edges, it'll be Liam Martin and probably Angus Crichton. Oh, no, Martin's injured. Hudson Young, Angus Crichton. Jeez, I tell you what, that is a battle for the ages. Holy moly.
Well,
wow.
And that's it, because we're not playing the Kiwis until next year. So you may have your Liam Martins back in there. It'll look slightly different, but that's building so nicely for the World Cup next year. Channel 7, well done. Getting those rights in.
I can't wait. The last time we played, they beat us 30-0. That Kiwi forward pack, like I thought the Tongan and Samoan forward pack was amazing, but that Kiwi forward pack, that is a scary forward pack. It's the best forward pack out of all teams at the moment, I think. But I can't wait to see all three teams play each other. Imagine the crowds for the Samoa, Tonga, Kiwi sides. It is going to be like action-packed, chanting. You know, that it might not be as many numbers as, say, when Australia plays, but the smaller numbers will make more noise because of just how passionate they are.
Well, and they've got the third game being played at Eden Park as well, Kempy, which is interesting because there's been the rumours around and the reporting that Origin's going to see a game at Eden Park, so it'll be a nice little taster for the Kiwi fans to get in there, pack that stadium out. Historic stadium, All Blacks with so much history there, and to have rugby league on that stage with that calibre of player. It's great to see so many have made themselves available as well. We've talked about that with the Australian side of things, how guys have been pulling out and getting themselves right, and that's understandable. But the passion for the jersey in these specific players, there can be no doubt about it. It's going to provide 3 Sundays and a final of really good quality content over the off-season for us, which is very exciting.
A whole month. How good is that? Yeah. A whole month of footy. All righty, we're now to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about, including the celebration of the TV ratings. Alrighty, welcome to the Captain's Run, powered by Lontel Internet. Pay as you go. You pay daily with it, so you can pause it, you can slow it, you can speed it up. It's internet for the modern era, guys. Premium internet. Go to lontel.net.au/bloke. You got a free trial as well if you use code BLOKE, so you can just try it. No contracts, no credit card needed. You will not be disappointed. Lontel.net.au/bloke. Okay, the NRL and Channel 9 are celebrating the best television ratings in the history of the sport, with the Broncos Storm Grand Final attracting a record audience of 4.46 million viewers. The NRL Grand Final smashed the television viewing numbers of the AFL, with an average of 4.18 million viewers tuning in to watch Brisbane Lions topple Geelong to win the flag earlier the week. Last year's NRL Grand Final between Penrith and Melbourne attracted an average audience of 3.36 million, with this year's Grand Final up 33%. The 2023 Grand Final had an audience of 3.41 million. I mean, wow. It just shows you where rugby league is at right now. I will say, obviously you want the best team to win every single year, but Penrith being in it every single year, the numbers will just continue to go down. And that's no knock on Penrith. Like, I'm not having a crack at them, but they're already a relatively smallish club when it comes to size of fan base. And so I reckon this year was just about, first of all, it's a Melbourne side, so you get all of Victoria. And then it's a Queensland side, so you get most of Queensland. And then New South Wales are going to watch it anyway, so it's almost the perfect storm. But you know what? It's bloody good. I mean, to be honest, to be fair, like it's a little bit similar to the AFL. They got a Queensland side and they got a Victorian side. So this is huge. This is huge for the game. And, you know, with this, also with the final series that happened and with the grand final, how incredible it was. Like, as a casual fan watching that, you will watch the start of this season next year. Like, you will be like, that was some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. It's
a massive win for the game. And you're spot on about the perfect storm coming in, Kempy. But I think you're right in terms of the narrative that was built over the final series. And the thing was, for me, breaking down these numbers is that even in those week 2 games when you didn't have the Storm and the Broncos playing, Queensland ratings were up, Victorian ratings were up over the course of the final series before we got to this grand final. So you're right in that sense, as well as the advertisement that the game put on. You're right, as a casual fan, watching last year's grand final, then there were some swipes from the AFL types last year about, you know, well, that wasn't much of a showpiece event, was it? This year, you can have no argument about that because of basically the blow-by-blow you took us through at the start of the hour. So, great news, particularly with this broadcast deal on the table. Channel 7 going through a merger at the moment, which means they might be more likely to put up for rights, drive that price a little bit more upwards and see more money across the game, which is crucial when you're trying to bring in 70 new players for 2 new squads, when you're trying to bring in 2 new franchises and just attract as many people towards rugby league as possible at the moment. I think this is fantastic. I think it's going to be great, the international footy that we just spoke about over the course of the last segment as well. We're going to get more people tuning into that and tapping into that, which is still the big advantage that rugby league has over the AFL, is the fact that we can go into the Pacifica diasporas and really attack those numbers to tune into rugby league as well.
I'll tell you what, like, I've never ever felt like we would catch AFL. We'd always be about 5 to 10 years. This is the first time in my life where I said, you know what, with the international game, maybe one day we will.
And that was the big project that Peter V'landys brought to the table when he came in, is can we catch the AFL? They've finally done it, and now it's onwards and upwards. Can we continue the growth?
Let's go. All right, we're going to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Code Sport is reporting Melbourne Storm star Cam Munster is being targeted by Rugby Union after being sounded out to switch codes with a potential view to representing the Wallabies at 2027 World Cup. The R360, Rugby 360 Revolution, is targeting 10 players, including Munster's teammate Pappenhausen, Payne Haas, Zach Lomax, and now Queensland Origin skipper on their hit list. The rival code is eyeing off Munster on dual fronts. Well, I will say it's not for the 2027 World Cup, because Australia and New Zealand have both come out and said, if you play in Rugby 360, you will not be eligible for our nations. Okay, it is understood the Storm playmaker fielded preliminary interest from a third-party associate with Australian Rugby, links in the lead up to the NRL Grand Final. No formal offer was made, but the secret approach to Munster's camp has given the Origin and Test ace another career option. Meanwhile, Payne Haas has postponed a Zoom meeting with Rebel Rugby Union Commission R360 over a potential $10 million mega switch, while his company seeks clarity over the obligations with the NRL. Haas and his management, Murhi, were scheduled to hold R360 officials on Wednesday afternoon, but opted to delay discussions for the time being. Sources with knowledge of the talks suggest Haas could be offered as much as US $2 million a season to switch codes and play in the inaugural season of R360 next year. That's the equivalent of 3 million Australian dollar dues, a figure no rugby league could match. There is also potential for tax breaks should Haas domicile. Is that domicile? What's that?
Domicile. Okay. So basically move over.
Okay, domicile. Okay, I'm a domiciling myself out of here. Okay, domicile himself in Dubai. Sources suggest he could earn the equivalent of $10 million dues for a 2-year stint in Rugby 360. He's understand that Haas' camp will want at least a 2-year deal before considering a switch to fledgling competition. Rugby Australia and 7 other world's leading rugby nations have issued a statement overnight warning players. Listen, bro, if he gets offered 10 mil for 2 years, I'll pack your bags for you, Haas. I'll come up. You don't have to pay someone to pack your bags. I'll come up and pack your bags for you. don't you dare turn down $10 million. Now, I would say it would have to be put, if I was Payne Haas, I'd be like, the only way I'm signing any contract if this is put in a, is it an escrow account or whatever, some kind of trust account that it clears on a certain date, because unless I see that money, I am not signing that contract. But, mate, $10 million for 2 years? And I think that's interesting, but they said they're trying to find out the NRL stance on whether players can come back. I guess the problem isn't Payne Haas off contract 27 anyway?
Yes.
So you wouldn't want to wait 2 years, though. Man, if he can get $10 million, I don't think there's a single Brisbane Broncos fan or any fan that would begrudge Payne Haas from going across there.
No, I don't think so. And it's interesting that I was listening to something Brent Reed had put up yesterday, and he's been right at the forefront of this for Code Sports, that R360 would potentially be willing to wait for players to finish their NRL season and then go over and play R360 with no build-up with their teams. They just want these marquee names to basically give them as much cut-through in the sporting sphere as we can. We've seen Peter Volandis come out this week and say it's a competition out of a Weet-Bix box. Henry Voss said this morning on breakfast that he thinks it's a pimple on the arse of world sport that won't get up. That would be the other caveat I'd have if I'm Payne Haas. You can pay me all the money in the world, but if there's no competition for me to go and play in, then what am I signing up for? That's still the thing I need to see as someone who's a fan, and certainly if I'm a manager of a player saying, okay, it's great these dollar offers being thrown around, they're fantastic. You know, is this competition going to get off the ground? It's still not clear.
If you pay me $10, I don't care what I'm playing. I'll sit at home and I'll watch reality TV. I hate reality TV. I'll watch that all day. I don't care what I'm playing. You pay me $10, I'll be a promo girl for the bloody thing. I'll wear the kit. I'll cheerlead it. I'll do anything. 10 milli. I mean, not anything, but you know what I mean. Look. What is bizarre is we still have no real concrete of, like, what's the business model? Where are they going to really play? Like, there's been vague, like, okay, they might play here, might play here. What's the setup of the tournament or whatever? Like, are the rules going to be tweaked? Like, we're less than a year out from them starting, and we don't even have a single person signed yet, to my understanding.
Not on the dotted line. There's a lot of these discussions, and it's going to be interesting. You talk about the business model. We talked about this last week, I think it was. Is how much they're willing to invest and willing to lose, where that money's coming from. Live Golf, to put this all in perspective, lost. I think the reporting from The Athletic this week was $1.34 billion last year. They'd made revenues around 50-60 million. That was nothing compared to what they were paying players to go and basically participate in their competitions.
Just for that 50-60 million, the NRL make more than that.
Yeah. So you've got to find a broadcast rights deal that is paying you a significant amount of money basically to make that money back. And the markets that they're going to play these games in, Kempy, like they're not rugby markets.
That's what I was trying to say yesterday. I was like, where is the huge rights deal that's going to pay for all this? Like, is Amazon? It's because it has to be international.
Yeah.
It can't be. You're not going to get TV rights deal in Australia, it's all just going to be a big streaming service. And the only thing I can think that can work is that Netflix and Amazon are trying to get into sport. You know, Amazon put on a card recently. Tim Zoo was actually the first Amazon card. Then you've got the Jake Paul and you've got the Terence Crawford Canelo fight on Netflix. The only thing that I can see that potentially makes sense, and also Netflix did a rugby documentary, is a huge streaming platform throwing bank at them just to get a live sport on their service. But even then, like, are they going to throw 500 million at them? Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, where are the subscribers? If you are a streaming service that's coming into that model, is this going to be the competition that grows your base? Like, Netflix already have the largest subscription market around the world. Like, how much are they getting back for bringing in live sport like this outside of boxing, outside of these one-off events? You know, this is something that's going to be sustained. It's going to be 10, 12 weeks from reporting the tournament. Is that going to lift your customer base enough to pay the money for a competition that you don't know is going to have a foothold, even if it does have a global appeal? There's still big question mark about how many people are actually going to be invested.
I'll be honest, I got my tinfoil hat on, but
go on.
The fact that this is so vague and like it's less than a year away, I reckon this is being positioned to put pressure on certain things. Like, it doesn't make any sense that they are this unprepared to publicly say what is the whole program, what is going on. I reckon that it might be some kind of rogue, I guess, organisation that's
agitator
against World Rugby that is trying to upset the apple cart or something.
But even if you were doing that in rugby, they were saying at the start of things that, we're very happy to release players to go back and play internationally. Now, obviously, the unions have released that joint statement this morning that you mentioned, saying they're not going to consider players that go to R360. So if you are going to be an agitator, why didn't you take that first stance from the start, that, hey, this is going to be a takeover of this sport, which is successful in Europe, which does make a lot of money over there, more than it does here, but still has a foothold in Australia and New Zealand. I can't see that strategy either. None of this makes any sense.
That's what I mean. It doesn't make any sense. We don't even know. Who is it? Who's Rugby 360? Who runs it? Who's even employed by it?
The Dubai Rugby Football, you're exactly right. It's not an entity. It's not an entity of any note.
It's just it's this shadowy figure that's hitting up journos going, oh, we're interested in Munster. Like, what? It's less than a year away. Like, it is the strangest thing ever. I don't understand how it would work. I really don't. I don't understand the business model. Yep, okay, there are people that are super rich that can pour a bunch of money into it. But, like, even Liv's struggling right now. Like, you reckon Liv's going to keep doing that? Like, money's not endless.
No.
It's not endless. At least with the boxing stuff, they make a bit of their money back.
Yes.
You know? And it's all one-off stuff, so you can just go, warm. We're going to put this budget for this. Look, as I said, if he gets offered 10 mil, take that. I will be packing your bags for you. I'll take you to the airport. I'll drop you off. I'll say thanks for the premiership, brother, and enjoy your time. But I wouldn't be signing anything until I see that $10 million sitting in a bank account that I have access to that clears on a certain day. The whole thing is so bizarre. The whole thing is just bizarre. Okay, Code Sports has also reported this week 2027 Origin will be played in New Zealand after another round of talks this week. Only a last-minute collapse of the deal will stop from happening, with the report suggesting the New Zealand government will spend $5 million to take Origin across the Tasman Eden Park. It's understood Channel 9's standard 8 p.m. kickoff will need to be broken from to allow the games to be played. But all parties are working towards a 9:30 local kickoff, 7:30 back in the East Coast of Australia. Oh, man, earlier the better.
Yeah.
Earlier the better. That would see the game run until about 11:30 Auckland, but it's likely the only way parties will be able to reach an agreement on Origin match to be played in Auckland. Yeah, it's a really interesting one, because when this first got floated, I was fully against it. I was just like, mate, this is an Australian, it's called State of Origin. And then I was like, well, is there that much difference between it going to Perth as it is going to New Zealand? Like, yes, it's a different country, but like, then you just kind of like, you're being a bit pedantic there by going, okay, well, it's the country that makes it weird. And I just go, well, we already leave the States, so it's already crossed a line in regards to its connection to where it's from. And what is best for the game? And honestly, would I like to see the Kiwis, like the huge Kiwi crowd, how big that would be, especially for the first one? Yeah, I'd like to see that. So, and also, like, if there is one way for us to keep getting wins over rugby union in New Zealand, this is a way. Like, if you're a young kid you idolise the All Blacks, and All Blacks will always be the number one team in New Zealand. They'll always be. It's part of their DNA. However, if you're a young footy player, union or league, and you go and watch an Origin, there are some players that will go, that's where I want to be. I want to be there. Or even the fringe guys, the guys that like, I want to play for the All Blacks, but maybe I'm just not going to make it. I'll go play Origin. So, mate, I like it. What do you reckon?
I'd be interested in some of our texts, because we've got Kiwi listeners across the network, 0457 736 736. But my understanding, talking to people over in New Zealand at the moment, is there is less focus. The All Blacks is still the ultimate goal, as you say, but there are kids coming through now where their aim is not necessarily to put on an All Blacks jersey, but to be a rugby professional, whether that's rugby union, rugby league, wherever they can get paid to play professionally. And placing our showpiece event, bringing in some money for rugby league, I think this is a fantastic idea. I'm glad the Auckland government have seen fit to sort of put forward a bid and be really serious about bringing that game over there. I think it's going to be a great event. It's actually shorter travel time for most of the players getting over there as well. It's all pluses for me.
Yeah. It'll be absolutely huge. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Got a couple of texts here. Afternoon, boys. Loving the chat. Just a thought, with the Perth Bears starting to happen, surely State of Origin as much footy has to go to Perth to push the sport. Don't believe that. That's where we're putting our money in, and that's where it should go rather than New Zealand, although I think New Zealand would be awesome. Cheers, Joel. Well, I think we've done quite a bit at Perth. Like, I don't know if like one extra Perth, Origin in the next year is going to change that much. And didn't we do Perth last year?
And we've had 2 sets of regular season games over there in the last 2 years as well.
Yeah.
I don't think you can accuse the NRL of neglecting WA by any stretch.
And also, like, we are starting a team there. Like, whereas in New Zealand, we've always flirted with the idea of the South Island or whatever. I guess this will be a good litmus test to see if it can kind of work there. But I've got to be honest, like, this whole Perth thing, like, it is just... I don't know. It just, something doesn't smell right.
Seems to be stuck in the mud a little bit,
yeah,
doesn't it? The horse and cart being drawn there.
We talk about Rugby 360 and them starting next year. Like, Perth essentially have 12 months and they haven't signed anyone. And I know they can't sign until November 1, but, like, who's the coaching staff? Who's the administration? Like, there is a whole company that needs to be created. So fingers crossed they do. All right, you see the Dragons making improvements. Also, do you rate David Fale signing? Yeah, I do see the Dragons making improvement. They're a bit of a weird one because, like, if you watch them play this year, you would have said really good year, like great year. You would have said, mate, they got so close to so many teams and they actually beat the Broncos, they beat the Storm, they beat the Panthers. Like, they're one of the very few teams that beat top-tier sides. However, some bizarre way, they finished third last. And so, like, it's such a weird... And I feel silly saying it, but I can't deny it. I still think that they were better than last year. Maybe I'm an idiot, but it just feels that way. What do you reckon, Maestro?
Agree to a point, particularly in the first half of the season when they had all those close losses as well. I think that really hurt them and sort of ruined their momentum towards the back end of the season. Once they were out of finals contention, I think they fell off a cliff a bit. But the base is there, and, this is a team in rebuilding, so I'm not going to sit here and go, they're 10 million miles away. I think they're closer than some of the other teams down the bottom. Let's put it that way.
So really interesting to see how they go next year. How about we put names on jerseys and players get a percentage of each sale? Bring in nil, and it will go a long way to nullify any R360, Japanese rugby. I'm sure Haas would rather that. Than playing rugby sevens in Madrid. It's always an interesting one. There's a reason why there's not names on the back. I can't... Is it sponsored? Like, that? Yeah, lose a sponsor spot?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Back of shirt sponsors.
But I wonder, would you make more money if you took a cut of... Because, like, you're going to sell more jerseys with the name on the back, most likely. And I wonder if you did the math, it'd be like, okay, let's say we charge someone $500,000 a year to be the back sponsor. Would we make $500,000 a year anyway if names were on the back? And we push those jerseys more.
And the Bulldogs have been sort of at the forefront of this. Aaron Warburton, their CEO, has been pushing for this for the last year or so. And he reckons they can make it work with just a smaller back of jersey sponsor. I think you can have a situation there where everyone wins.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I just think that names on back of jerseys, it's a really good way of connecting you to a team
100%.
and a player. Like, that's your guy, and that's what's happened in soccer for so long. Like, David Beckham was my guy. That's 7. I wanted to wear that 7 like David Beckham, and even though my favourite number was 9. But whereas, like, in league, coming across from soccer to league, I just more saw everyone, like, don't get me wrong, you had your guy, but it just wasn't that same connection. You can probably speak about it as well.
Well, no, 100%. The 23 that Michael Jordan wore in basketball. Like, that has become one of the iconic jerseys still to this day. I do wonder, though, so the All Blacks, the reason they've said they'll never do it is because it's the number of the team. And the team owns the jersey, not you. That's the only convincing argument I've heard against it if you're trying to build that culture. But I think from a commercial point of view, it makes all the sense in the world.
Only the All Blacks can say that because they've actually proven they have that culture. Like, any other NRL team tries to say that, it's like
the Knights at the moment.
Yeah, like, come on, bro. You've got infinite years of culture building before you get to the point you can say that. I think the only team right now that could probably do that is Penrith.
Yeah,
really. That could really say, whoever gets in here, we are the best of the best. Because you've got to remember that the All Blacks haven't been good for a couple of years.
Yeah,
they've been good for decades. Probably Storm and Penrith, but even Storm, like it's 11 finals,
Yeah.
only 3 wins in those 11 grand finals. It's still bloody good, but it is.
One more to throw up, and I know this will get backlash on the text line. Would you be open to the idea of people wearing one number for the entire year?
No way.
Nah,
Hate that.
hate
I
that.
really, really like the numbers of positions.
Okay.
Because I remember they did in the World Cup.
Yes.
It was
they did it very badly in the World Cup, I have to say.
Mate, it was the worst viewing experience I've ever had in rugby
right.
league. It was so bad because I just and I'm not like my eyesight's decent.
Yeah.
I'm not some old dude that can't see, and I'm like, I was getting people mixed up. It was crazy. It's just look, if we never did it, and then we could have, of course, anyone having any number would be better, but because we are so used to a certain style and a certain way. It'd be way too hard to change it now.
Yeah.
It'd be way too hard. And I'm sure there are other intelligent ways to individualize jerseys.
Yes.
Like, for example, why can't each person gets a little square here or something that they get to choose what their symbol is?
Junior club,
or whatever.
Flag of their country.
It's like a family shield or whatever.
Yep.
You get to choose. It's like, and you get to design it at the start of each year. The club brings it in. You design the shield. It goes there, and every jersey that has your name on it and that has your little shield on it.
Am I right in saying the Maroons do something like that where they've got the postcode of the junior club or where
4X.
the player grew up? That's a fantastic idea.
Yep. And so, like, stuff like that, that's a smart way of being able to individualize. And also, then you can build off that. So that crest, you can put that on merch for yourself.
Yeah.
And that crest becomes your representation. Imagine a young fella getting to wear his favourite player's shirt with a crest on it, and it's got the jersey with the I think that would be probably the best way of a new and inventive way to really make sure that you're getting connections between young people and players.
Allows them to build their personal brand as well, right?
Yep.
If you've got Payne Haas who's got something in terms of his shield and he wants to go out and release wristbands or tape or shirts, hats, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, love that as an idea.
And you wouldn't do it in all crazy colours or whatever.
No.
You'd make it look nice on the jersey, and then they keep that crest forever. And I just think that would be a really, really cool. Maybe each year they just have the year number on it, so you know which year it's from. I think that'd be a really, really cool way of doing it. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, it's time for sighting news. Titans make early moves. RCG to England, Gordon back to rugby. And new London Broncos co-owner has secured his first marquee signing with RCG joining the London Broncos. Granted permission by the Titans, and former Wallabies playmaker Carter Gordon is on the verge of return to rugby union. Granted permission to negotiate with Rugby Australia. Gordon's management has been in discussions with the Gold Coast Titans and are keen for him to be released from a final year of his NRL contract so he can join the Queensland Reds. And the Titans target Ilias as a foreign replacement. Mate, first of all, I like this from the Titans. Like, look, it's not whether the players currently at the Titans played well or not. Like, it's almost irrelevant. They just need a fresh start. Like, I think that obviously you're going to keep some of the players, but I think that even if you were a solid player at the Titans right now, I reckon it's just best for everyone for a fresh start. And so I understand why there's going to be a big clean out at the Titans, because you just, especially as an incoming coach that has for so many years, he's going to take, this club has been around for so many years, it hasn't had success. He really has to, it's not a normal rebuild. It's a rebuild at the core of its existence. And so I can understand, and I do think it's a good thing to make sure there's a real new start at the Titans next year. Look, I like Ilias as a signing. He's not going to break the bank. All they need is just a good 7 that can keep him around the park. Now, I understand that Ilias has sometimes had problems with that. However, he was really good in reserve grade. He did take South to a prelim. He has it in him. He really does. And so, talent and X factor is not an issue for the Titans. It really isn't. They've just been dying for an out-and-out 7 to get him around the park. So I like the Ilias one. What do you reckon?
Well, they've got to show something this year because Jaden Campbell, I think, is the key, and he's off contract at the end of 2026. So are they looking at Ilias? I guess that's the question for the Titans. Are they looking at Ilias as a partner for him, shifting him to 6? Or is that going to be Brimson's role locked on? Then what are you doing at fullback? There's a couple of little things to juggle there, but I totally agree with you, Denon. There's pieces there for them to work with. There's just too much fat around that squad at the moment. So I think the RCG move's a good one. I think the Carter Gordon one, what a disappointment that was. Only playing the one first-grade game, I think, during this year. And the last bit of news that we're hearing that's going to draw into this is David Fafita potentially moving off to South Sydney, with the Titans happy to pay half his contract, according to reports. Thoughts on that move?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's got to happen.
You talk about fresh starts. He's a player who just needs a new environment, players around him, a coach who can hopefully get something new out of him. It hasn't worked up there on the Gold Coast for the last 3 or 4 seasons now.
Yeah, and I just he's had some personal stuff going as well. Yep. There's been so much negativity with him, unfortunately, there, which it sucks because people seem to think that he's just been bad since he's arrived. It's not the case. No. He's had multiple really good years at the Titans. It's just been recently that he's kind of struggled. And I just think that sometimes when that happens with a player, it's not that they're toxic, because no, Dave Fafita isn't that. He's played well before. But it's just it's the negativity. As a fellow player in the locker room, you can feel the vibes between the club and the player. You know what I mean? And so it's not the player's fault. It's just a matter of, as a club, you probably just don't want those vibes there. For both Fafita as well, he wouldn't be happy. He wouldn't be enjoying it. So I think it's a smart move for both people. I really do. Look, do I think it's a rough gig, paying him $500,000 to leave? It's tough. Given the fact that they'd already paid him millions of dollars the last 5-6 years. However, they signed the deal. That's what you get for signing big deals like that.
And you're only taking half the hit to your salary cap, right? So it does open up a space for a good mid-range forward to come in and replace him and start that rebuild in terms of standards, everything that is going to be a real challenge for the Titans, given where they're coming from. Someone texted in about the Dragons, and are they that far away? Well, the Titans are a lot further off, and they've got to start right from the foundations, and that's going to come with a coach coming in and basically picking who's going to be the spine of his team, who's going to be the leaders, and then are you going to be able to retain those guys that potentially are on their way out, like Fasil Malawi, like Jaden Campbell, the guys that they'd sort of pin their hopes around being there for a long time so that they could take themselves back into top 8 contention, let alone thinking about premierships and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so, and I agree with you, mate. When you sit back and think about it, you go, wow, $500,000, that's what you're paying. But ask yourself this: last year, when David was going through what he was going through and he wasn't playing, what's better? Yep. Paying him $500,000 not be there, but then you have a $500,000 forward. Do you know how many gun forwards there are for $500,000? That you'd way rather him playing than Fafita not playing. So it sounds rough, it sounds tough, but you're right. It's the right decision. It really is.
How about the south side of things here? Suddenly that forward pack, if Fafita can get going, and this has been the sort of commentary around them for the last couple of seasons, if everybody's fit and firing, they're a really good side. But I think he's a fit there if he is playing well and is playing consistently over the course of 2026, and Wayne Bennett's the coach.
Mate, he's 25 years old.
That's the other thing people forget, because he's been around so long, right?
Yeah. He is young, man. And he really did have some very serious personal stuff go on last year. So there's a reason for everything that's happened the way it has. There's a reason why his head hasn't been exactly in rugby league at the moment. Once he grows and he gets through those tough times, I'm sure he'll come out the other side and be an absolute handful for oppositions. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. After a break, plenty more to talk about, including, already done that before. We talk about all of the Dally M winners, etc., and who we agree with, who we don't agree with. Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Okay, we're going to talk about, because we actually spoke about the Dally M's, I think, last week, but we're going to talk about next year. Is that what we've got here?
I've got the way too early predictions here,
okay.
Kepi. So we're sitting here, end of 2025. We've got the markets up for next year's premiership winners with the Broncos and the Storm at the top. So I'm asking you for who you think is going to win next year, who's best set to win that, Dally M winner, leading try scorer, all those stuff we usually do at the start of the season. We're going to do it way too early.
I love it.
At the end of 2025.
The only thing missing is an origin selection.
Okay. You can go there too.
Okay. Premiers. Penrith Panthers.
Wow. You tipping them to come back to the top of the tree?
I think so. They haven't lost anyone. They haven't. It's the first year in a long time they haven't lost anyone. They're all young superstars coming through. They've got even some more guns as well that are coming through. I'm going to go to Penrith Panthers. I think it might be a Penrith Panthers Broncos grand final, rematch of 23. Runners up, I'll say Broncos. Dally M winner. Ooh.
I've got a pick here. Who's at the forefront?
I mean, Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh.
I'll go Walshy.
I'm going to go Isaiah Katoa. I think that Dolphins team is going to be much improved. They're going to be top 8 side. He's going to come in right to the top of his quality, and he's going to be able to put together a full season. Every time the Dolphins play well, he's going to score points. I think he's the best young player in the competition, best young half in the competition, and we're going to stop inserting that young in front of his name at the start of every time we talk about him.
Okay. Leading try scorer, I'm going to go Dean Mariner.
Okay. I like that. You reckon he's going to hold down that spot? It's not going to be as much rotation through the backs as there was this year for the Broncos?
He was that good. He was that good at the end. 2 tries in the grand final. I'm going Dean Mariner.
Okay. On the back of your Panthers tip, here's one. Paul Alamotti. If he can hold down his spot going in. Yeah, I know there were some question marks about Tom Jenkins being left out of the Panthers side, but his performance in the final series particularly was phenomenal. And if he can stay fit and the Panthers can continue to just give him ball on that side, I think he's a guy who's, like Katoa, can go to another level off the back of the performances we're seeing at the end of this year.
Okay, wooden spoon. I hate the wooden spoon stuff. Look, I'm really concerned about the Knights.
Yeah.
Just looking at their roster heading into this year and, like, looking at the fact that, ironically, we're still kind of unsure who the half's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming it's Dylan Brown. You know, I don't believe he is a 7. I believe he's an out-and-out 6. I believe Fletcher Sharp can play 6, but he's a fullback. And then Kalen Ponga, it's going to be in the news all year long. Is he staying? Is he leaving? And it seems to be, and maybe it's no fault of his, but it just seems to always be in the air. Is he staying? Is he going? And maybe that's the media's fault. I'm not sure. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know, but it just seems to be there. I'm just concerned about the Knights. It just, like, Holbrook will come in there, and I do actually like the appointment of Holbrook, but just some of the decisions that have been made, like even little things, like, so they signed the 10-year deal on Dylan Brown, which shows you how desperate they were. Like, in hindsight, it's arguably one of the most desperate signings I've ever seen in rugby league when you think about it, because he hasn't won a premiership.
No.
Like, that's a non-premiership winner that isn't even the best in his position year on, year out. Now, granted, can Dylan Brown be the best in his position? Absolutely he can. He is a gun. I think he's a gun. But, yeah, so it's a huge play. It's a Hail Mary. It could work. But then in that same year, Dan Gagai wants $400,000 for 1 year, and you won't re-sign him for $400,000, and you've got this roster that's young as anything that needs a leadership. It took him putting his foot down and, like, basically going public for them to go, oh yeah, okay, we'll sign you for $400,000. It's like, what? Dan Gagai, the way he played last year, you're not going to sign him for essentially like a mid-fringe outside back. Like, even if he's not in your starting side, what he can give you in the preseason at training for all those young guys is like second to none.
Standards.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk about it all the time, right?
So that's strange. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the Knights. I do think the Titans, it's just going to be, they're going to have to take like 10 steps back to take it lots forward. So I think it's going to be a painful year for the Titans. So yeah, probably Knights and Titans I'm looking at. Outside of that, like everyone I look at, you know, they have a bit of hope, to be honest. Like, you know, Dragons can be better next year. You know, who else? Like,
I hate to put my club in here, but Manly have the potential to completely implode.
Oh yeah, actually, forgot about them. Yeah, Manly as well. Manly are definitely really concerned about with the way the whole DC thing happened. Now, like in a span of less than 12 months, you have had the biggest dramas of the year against 2 legends of the club.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Like, first of all, the DC one, which was the biggest news story of the year. And now Tom Trbojevic, you're having dramas with him. Like, what's next? You're going to go start kicking babies around?
Yeah.
Tommy Turbo. Jesus.
And Manly have got so much talent in that roster, right, that they're probably going to be good enough to stave off that. But if they start poorly, I can't see them anywhere near the top 8. And if Tommy's not there, like, where's your strike?
And also, do you know, to my understanding, apologies if this has changed just recently, to my understanding, they only have signed 23 out of their 30 top 30.
Yeah.
So the next 7 people they sign are essentially all the people that couldn't get a deal this year.
And the re-signing of Aaron Schott to me shows perhaps they're a little bit more desperate than some other clubs at the moment.
They need forwards.
Yeah.
Like they let go of Sipley, Tavunga, and Aloye.
Yeah.
But who have you recruited in the front row?
David Moali.
But he's not even there yet.
And he's not there yet until 2027.
Yeah. So at the moment, you've got Paseka, Bullymore, Nathan Brown, and Toki Auho.
Yeah. No, there is... Yeah, I can see real holes in that Manly roster. That's the reason I throw them up. That's some real problems.
And also, what I'm not getting is like anyone, a blind man could see that Manly needed forwards 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And yet it still has not been remedied. No. I just, it's so strange. Like, surely, like, as if I'm Manly Seagulls, and it sucks, you don't want to have to do this, but, you know, you're taking one of your outside backs that is a gun, and you are trading him for a gun front rower. Because right now, you've got essentially 5 gun outside backs. You don't need that. You don't need 5 gun outside backs. You just need 2 game breakers, and then everyone else needs to just do their job. And I just think that they've got surplus to requirement. Like the fact that you're playing Lehigh out of position.
Yeah.
You know, Kula got your player of the year. Garrick's always going to be there. He's a gun. Saab's a gun when he's playing really well. Like, I just think it's surplus to requirements, especially when your forward pack is just, it's been a concern for quite a while. You lost 3 front rowers and you haven't signed anyone. That's bizarre to me. Even with those 3 front rowers at the club, they still struggled with the forwards.
Yeah. We're bringing in Hetherington. Steve makes a good point on the text line, which is, you know, a nice addition, but was sort of a fringe player for the Broncos. Well, more than a fringe player, but
definitely
a role
player.
A role player.
And he's not in the front row either.
No.
Like the thing is that you got Paseka as a big out-and-out front rower, but I just like a genuine front rower. It doesn't have to be a giant or anything like that, but just a good young front rower. Like even a guy like Maxi King from the Doggies. You know, like they've got are they the best front rowers? No, but they're good young front rowers that can get through a lot of work. Now, granted, I do say when Paseka plays, Manly are a totally different outfit. So if he can stay injury-free, maybe you can work around it. But yeah, I think Kobe and Bullymore, both from the Broncos, obviously, both really good signings because they've got fast leg speed through the middle. If you get a roll on, they'll be outstanding. We saw Kobe Hetherington's outstanding play. Quick play the ball that got Reece Walsh's great try. So there is that. Okay, in regards to biggest improver, I think the biggest improver, it might not be the biggest improver, but the biggest shock, I reckon there's a chance Dolphins finish in the top 4 next year.
Wow.
Because they had the best attack of anyone in the competition this year. They had about the 7th best defence. All they need to do is improve their defence from 7th to 4th, and they'll most likely be in the top 4.
Yeah. I'm putting Souths in there for similar reasons because if they can stay fit, that roster on paper still, if it all comes together, is a top 8 side at the very, very minimum.
At the minimum. Like that full-strength roster, when you sit down and look at it, is insane.
Yeah.
Like Keon, Jai Arrow, Cam Murray, Tallis Duncan on one edge. Then you would have, who's the other one? Aitken, but there's another one I'm forgetting now.
That's slipping my mind as well.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Aitken on one edge. Mate, you got Totola on the bench. Like it is a stack. And then you go to the backs. You've got Jai Arrow. You've got Latrell Mitchell. You've got Munro if he makes a side. You've got Alex Johnston. You've got Campbell Graham. You've got Jack Whiten. Like that is it's an absolutely outstanding side. Alrighty, going to head to the break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, Skipper Scope has joined us. I'm just going to leave the floor to you, Skipper Scope. Walk us through. What are your thoughts on the grand final and the final series?
How good was it, Kempy? We were talking about it just then during the break, and I just love the signatures. I love the vintage Guernsey. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
It must feel nice that for a team that you just love. And have gone through so many tough times.
Yeah.
Like it's when everyone knows about the Broncos' history and some of the they've arguably been a part of. If you could come up with in the last, say, 25 years, just go back to 2000, if there was grand finals for just purely entertainment and you didn't have a team that you followed, on the Mount Rushmore, Broncos games might be 3 out of the 4.
Yeah.
Like the Cowboys 2015 Cowboys
Oh,
Broncos game for a lot of people was in the top 4 in the last 25 years.
yep.
The fashion in which Penrith ran you guys down, it has to be. It has to be.
Oh, mate.
Regarded as one of the better grand finals of all time.
Yeah.
And then to see the performance of Reece Walsh in that grand final, there's been a lot of chat about it. You know, the funny thing I've found over the last 3 or 4 days is normally when you throw out statements, comments, and you talk about a player's performance, you often see guys that want to go against the grain just to be different.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it.
Yeah, like in the media as well.
In the
Like,
media,
it's pretty,
normally people in the media,
Yeah.
especially if you're like, you want to have a point of difference,
Yep.
it might be, you know what? I don't think he was that good.
yeah.
He was that good.
Mate.
He was that dominant
Yep.
that he's completely taken away anyone going, you know what, he was all right.
Yeah.
Because if they did, they'd look like a goose.
Yeah, 100%. And you know exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just rage baiting.
Rage baiting, like I said, trying to have a point of difference, trying to get more views. Mate, his performance was one for the ages.
Okay, well, let me just, while on Walshy.
Yep.
This is his stats from round 24 onwards. 7 tries, 4th in the NRL. However, there are 3 people on 8 above him. So he's second in regards to, second amount of tries.
And he missed the game too because they didn't play the second week.
Second amount of tries.
Yep.
Try assist, he had 12.
He'd be number 1.
First in the NRL. The
Yep.
second was James Tedesco with 9. Try involvements, 21.
He'd have to be first. Yeah.
Next, Nathan Cleary, 16. Tackle bust. Here's a good one for you.
Well, wow.
Tackle bust, 73. Second, Elise Katoa, 49.
Wow.
Okay. This is even crazier, this one. This is actually the most mental one. Line break assists. He's number 1. 22 line break assists. Second, Tedesco, 11 line break assists. He's the one this one rounds it out as to like something only Walshy could do.
Yeah.
Number 1 in 40-20s with 4. Second is 2.
That's what separates him from all the great fullbacks too.
He's the only one that can do that.
That last stat. And how many, think about the heroics for Dylan Edwards in retrieving that one against the Panthers, which could have been a huge play the back end of that first half. Everyone's been talking about, where he stands, where the particular run. And I think, we've established that now. Like I said, there's not many that can push back against it. It is one of the best individual performances in a big game, grand final, whatever it may be, that I think a lot of us have ever seen. And, I start moving towards the conversation of, what's his ceiling?
Yeah.
What could Reece Walsh become? And I threw it out on Monday, chatting to Big Mace about it, and I said it with no disrespect. For me, because of the consistency, equal with, mixed in with talent, mixed in with footy IQ, Billy Slater, for me, during our era, is the best that I've seen.
Yep.
Do it for long periods. Not talent, but just, all right, if you're putting a resume together, it's Billy, right?
Yep.
Walshy can surpass him. Walshy can surpass him with the talent that he's got, but I've also seen, in saying that, during my time playing, I thought there were more talented players than Billy during the era that I played, but they didn't have the consistency of 20 years like Billy. So that's where he's still got a ways to go, but the world's his oyster. He's been lapping it up. I've been loving seeing all of that too. I'm all for that. Talk your talk. Walk. When you walk your walk, you can talk your talk.
Yep.
So congrats to all the Broncos players that have been doing that. And, mate, it was just a fun watch. It was so good to see.
And I think the scary thing about Walshy is that usually the Melbourne Storm came up with plays to stop Tommy Turbo.
Yep.
They come up with plays to stop Jared Hayne and Ben Barber. In the press conference, Craig Bellamy was essentially lost for words. He was just like, it didn't work. It didn't work. And so the scary thing for Reece Walsh is he has a play style that at the moment hasn't been solved.
Yeah, good point.
So how do you... He can just keep doing this because at the moment right now, that a system doesn't exist to stop him at his best.
Yeah. I wonder what is that little secret sauce. When you compare him to all those fullbacks, it's not like they didn't have a number of tricks in their arsenal.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just runners. It's like Benny Barber is probably the closest one to just purely the explosiveness around the ruck and size that Walshy had that just confused people and was very hard to...
You know what I reckon it is? I reckon it's his ability to pass at full speed.
Yeah.
Like a lot of players, you don't pass at full speed.
No.
You pull up, you square up. I think because he can pass at full speed, he limits the time for defenses to make decisions. And obviously he's got the footwork. But Ben Barber had footwork,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I think it's his ability to pass at full speed.
Hainsey was the Mickey at that as well. And I've got to add one more thing to it. What Madge getting that final percentage out of him.
Yep.
Because I reckon the biggest knock for me anyway, and I'm a big Reece Walsh fanboy, but the one thing that I reckon let him down was his conditioning.
Yeah, for sure.
Like at times,
Yeah.
that would cost him in yardage in particular. And then because they made so many errors coming out of yardage because his kick receptions were just not up to fullback standard. Therefore, he never got as many opportunities like he did at the back end of the season.
True.
So because he ticked that box and his attention to detail to kick returns was so much better, he then, with the team, because the team was no longer on the back foot, had so many more opportunities. And when you give him those opportunities and it is a 50-50 going back and forth rather than error. Remember when they'd just go, you know better than anyone can be watching them play.
Painful.
They'd make errors on play before play 3 multiple times, and it'd be across the board. Madge cut that out of him. They didn't do that at the back end of the season. They caught so many balls on the full.
And they picked their moments to do the big plays.
Mate, and they kick returned really well as a back 3 specifically in the last sort of 5 to 6 weeks. And
Aaron Karapani changed their season.
Awesome.
Like
so good.
They became very similar to Penrith's outside backs that just run for 200 metres a game each, which you're right, took a lot of stress off Walshy to do what he needs to do. In regards to other performance, I thought Ezra Mann was absolutely phenomenal. Who stood out for you?
Ezra for sure. I reckon it's funny to think if you were going to say before the game Ezra Mam's going to come on and have a performance, you think, all right, he's maybe scored a try, two because he's capable of it because we've seen it 2 years previous, or he's broken the lineup and Shibasaki's and Piakura have had some jam because of him. But it was his physicality, mate.
Crazy.
I say this. I said this on Monday, and because of the history that Will Warbrick had this year, I think he shook Will Warbrick.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I think he was a little bit rattled, and not in like I'm not trying to say that in a bad way against Will Warbrick, like it's understandable.
100%.
But I reckon he might have like concussed Will Warbrick a little bit.
Just with the impact kind of thing.
Mate, you look at the back end of the game and it felt like just Will Warbrick wasn't there.
Yep.
And every time he did, you'd see Ezra getting into him. He'd hit him sometimes, and clean, by the way, too. No dirty hits, but just hitting him clean while the ball was still alive. And you just see Will Warbrick get back. And normally he's got a bit of juice about him. I just felt like he didn't have that juice. And I reckon that was a huge part of when they were having some joy down the right edge at the back end of the game. Sort of Will Warbrick just wasn't there. Wasn't able to execute.
Mate, it's a great take because it's like getting a head knock and being out for a few weeks or however many weeks, it's like 6-7 weeks. It's quite a while. It's very different to a knee injury or whatever. Like it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And so you're right. Like maybe the physicality of Mam just kind of like triggered him a little bit. Like,
bit of whiplash, mate.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as that, Kempy, because that first hit that he got when he stepped off the right foot and Ezra went into him. I think it was more weeks than 7. I think he was out about 15 weeks, Kempy.
Wow.
Because it was like round 3 until round 24 or something like that.
That's a lot.
It was a lot of time. And I remember like sort of watching him at the time going, ooh, geez, he got him good there. And, on review of the game, I watched it again the following Monday morning just to go and get all the notes for the week. I was like, he was definitely off. There was something off. And I reckon maybe Ezra's physicality was a big part of that.
Yeah, wow. Far out. It's just such a good grand final. Where did it go wrong for the Melbourne Storm?
They just didn't have any ball in the second half. Like, you can't allow... It's a mixture of both. Like, Walshy was just on fire. Everything he touched turned to gold. And then, therefore, when they did get their opportunities, I couldn't believe it when I heard the stat at the 60-minute mark and the Melbourne Storm have only completed one set. And it'd been 20 minutes into that is crazy. That is a quarter of the game, Kempy.
Yeah.
From the 40-minute mark to the 60-minute mark, they'd only completed one set.
In the first half, it was 22 out of 23.
Mate, they were almost perfect.
Yeah.
And then the scoreboard reflected that. So I know it's sort of cliche, but that's why coaches talk about it so much. Possession, completion, all those little things that that we sort of, all right, that's just coaches talk.
Yep.
It's so important. But in this day and age now, you can't just 5 tackles for a kick. You still got to be able to complete at a high number whilst also shifting the ball like both teams did. Melbourne did in the first half. Broncos did in the second half.
Yeah, just an absolutely incredible game. And I think, like, Broncos are really the only side that can, other than Penrith in the grand final, but can literally score 3 tries in 10 minutes. Like, can go bang, 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 and then all of a sudden the whole environment for the game has changed. All right, just finally, before we go to break, what were you thinking when Katoa makes that break? Are you thinking Melbourne Storm are going to win it here?
Yeah. On reflection and watching the replay back, you end up seeing that there were more Broncos.
Ezra had him. Yeah.
Ezra and Big Payne Haas was pushing through the middle as well. 79th minute, he's a freak.
But if Reece went for just Katoa, I reckon Pappy scores.
Okay.
I reckon Reece realised that Katoa was taken from Mam and just went, boom, I'm going for him.
Well, he even said that in the presser.
Oh, okay.
Someone asked him in the presser, and they said, with those sorts of plays, do you have a plan? And he goes, yeah, no, instinctual sorta, probably just go for the quicker guy.
Yeah.
That was his response. It was something like that. I'm probably paraphrasing it wrong, but it was something along those lines of basically, all right, who's the biggest threat? All right, we'll go to them, and hopefully one of your teammates can pick up the other one.
It's a really smart, simple way of thinking. Yeah. I never even thought of it like that, but it's true. Like, if you've got a guy that's a bit slower, you're going to hope your boys are going to come in and help you out. But, yeah, just incredible. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Get Skipper Scope's thoughts on the international sides. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We've got a few texts here. Hey, Scope and Kempy, do you think this is the start of a Broncos boat and a Broncos domination? With the youth and exuberance that they've got and will next year be the litmus test. Cheers, Joel. I think that Penrith's dominance has kind of made everyone think we're going to see that again. I don't think that's the case. Now, could the Broncos hang around the top 4 and maybe another comp in a few years? Potentially. But this idea that we're going to see another Penrith, it will not happen.
They've got the pieces in place, though, Kempy. Like, if you think about having, I think, a Broncos team that has Reece Walsh, Ezra Mam, Paddy Carrigan and Payne Haas in it has a fighting chance against most other teams. Like, well, it was proven during the grand final, even with the veteran presence of the two halves, which were unfortunately weren't able to finish the game, and even the lead up into the finals with Billy Walters playing so well. Like, you can see a world in where, like, if you put even some, not makeshift, but like, you don't have to have 350 gamer, 15 years of experience with Reece Walsh at this point of his career. Like, you still got to be solid.
And Ezra as well.
And Ezra.
Yeah.
Like
Ezra didn't play most of the season with injuries and everything.
I know. The 10-week suspension and then with the injuries, Ezra looked just so calm out there.
Yeah.
He looked, the experience of 23 definitely served them well because when it got down into the tough parts of the game, they were ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just think that, like, can they get into grand finals again? Yeah, but it used to be, it took, Roosters went back to back. It took them 20 years, and then obviously Penrith do it quickly after. I think we've got a bit. People think that that's going to happen again. I just reckon.
Oh, look, yeah. By no means do I think it's an automatic. I just think that, they've still got a really good roster.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They've got the perfect coach for it. Like, there's no way Madge will let his standard slip going into next year. In fact, he's the sort of weirdo that he'll probably train them harder, and they could get the shits at it too. Like, that could be the part that goes the other way. Like, once you're all in, despite what everyone was saying, you could see that there was clear buy-in within the playing group at the start of the year because they were so hungry to win. Do they have that same energy? Do they have that same passion for his training sessions and long sessions as they did at the start of this year? I don't know. That's something only they can answer, but we'll see. And
that's what makes Penrith so great.
That's what makes Penrith so great. And they'll probably go into next year, and here's the part, right? Everyone's going to be chasing them, but I reckon when people look at the performances of Reece Walsh and Ezra Mam and Paddy Payne, Reynolds Hunt, all the Tony Staggs was awesome, the back rows, everyone across the board, they're going to have teams beaten before they play them in the first 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Mentally, they're going to go into games and they're going to have teams beaten. Now, whether the result goes that way, where they could slip up, there could be injuries, there could be complacency, that's up to them. That's totally up to them.
Yeah. I hope that I hope there's a Storm Penrith Broncos rivalry building here, because it'd be just good to get two top tier teams going back and forth the next 5 years. Penrith are young enough for it to happen. Broncos are young enough for it to happen.
Storm ain't going anywhere.
Storm aren't going to go anywhere. However, Munster and Pappy might be gone by 28. So there'll be half their spine will be different.
Yep.
That'll be interesting. But I doubt, it just depends on what Bellyache does. Do you think Bellyache will stick around to rebuild again?
I heard you talking about this on the way in, actually. Yeah, it's results dependent, I think. And it will. I think it will matter with who's on the roster and what they do there. That's the juggling act that now that they've got. When you hear about all the reports around the contracts around Jonah Pezzett, the chat around money, even someone like Saul Failonga, what happens there? Yeah. Does he start to get itchy feet because he doesn't want to sit behind Ryan Pappenhausen? That matters.
It sounds like I've heard reports Pappy might be gone as soon as if he wants to go to R360, they're happy to let him go now.
Yeah, well, the only thing with that R360, and this is why I deem it as a genuine threat, right? Yep. For sure I do. But until someone actually signs, it's I feel like we've been talking about it now, and which has been at the if you're Rugby 360, you're loving it, or you just saw the chat. But
that's what I said earlier. I said, who is it? Who is it?
Mm.
Who's
running it?
Tell me one face you've seen that's connected to Rugby 360. A face, just one.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a face.
No.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
And you've got all these managers doing their job for them. All these managers that are trying to get more money for their players. You are falling into the pockets of rugby. This is what they want. All the free press, and all the managers saying, I don't care. I'm just using it to get more money for my.
But this is like a road group, Kempy. That's how it works. With I've watched this play out in other sports. Most recently golf. How you've seen it all sort of unravel, and even with football, of the soccer variety. There was. I think we're going to be closer. I really think this version of the competition that is going to interrupt our normal proceedings at the NRL is going to probably be similar to golf, the golf version of Live.
So we'll lose a few big boys, but then
a few big guns. They're going to go there. If you look at the form of those players that have gone over to the golf, it's dramatically dropped, even though they've been able to stay and compete in the PGAs. Our most famous Aussie, Cam Smith hasn't made a cut since he's been in Live.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he'd won a British Open or a British
Maybe
Open.
It's that life-changing money,
How can it not change you, Campy?
Yeah.
Those 1%ers that you were doing, if 150 mil straight up, and this is not a crack at Cam Smith because I was all for him. If those players wanted to make that money, then so be it. But there's going to be a portion that go over. I reckon they're going to get into it. They're going to realise maybe money isn't everything.
Yes.
But it's probably going to be too late. Whilst over on the other side, PGA and the NRL are going to go about their business. For sure, the competitions in both aren't as strong without that talent. But I think it's going to be more so, all right, we've gone over for this. I'll live, I might not have the ambitious goals that I had playing for the NRL or the PGA, but I'm earning really good money and I'm comfortable with that.
So the reported figure is that Payne Haas may be offered up to 10 million AUD for 2 years.
That's crazy.
3 million USD each year.
How could you not be? How could you be angry at him for not taking that?
100%, and he's won his premiership now. He took the Brisbane Broncos from wooden spoon to a premiership. His job is done.
It sucks. He's got to, if that is the money, he's got to take that money.
He has to take it,
and it's going to suck to not have him in the game.
Oh, he just has to take it though. That is truly and also he can come back in 2 years if they let him. He's back to that point around with the Live Golf and that. There'll be examples of, I think there'll be maybe a couple that are just the outliers, the Sonny Bill Williams of the world, who can go and flip and change from both because they're just super talented. Yep.
For the most part, I think there'll be a number of them that go to do it, think they can come back and not have the success and be as dominant as they once were.
Yeah, okay. 2 years out of the game, the progress always made in pre-seasons and everything. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, so we've got a couple of texts here. Warbrick missed rounds 4 to 26. Wow. That makes a lot of sense then.
22 weeks.
Basically, he's been back for 3 or 4 games.
He was shook, mate. I'm telling you, he was shook. Remember how dominant he was in last year's grand final? Off the back fence, screaming as he was running. Remember a couple of times he was screaming before he got into contact?
Yep.
He was going, rah, and then just bumpers straight into people. Ezra got him a couple of times. I'm good clean hits, but nothing crazy. But I reckon it was the effects of the amount
wonder-
of time he spent out. That's my gut feeling.
I wonder whether there was a conversation of like, if you hit him hard enough, he'll legally, you can rattle him.
I don't think so. I just think Ezra, that's the way he plays.
Yeah,
like
he does play aggressive.
Ezra tries to jam everyone.
100%.
Technically, he might make bad reads.
Yeah.
Like he sometimes you see him and he'll make a puzzling miss. But if you run straight at him, he will try to lick you.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love it. Okay, another text is Smith has made cuts since going to live. Get it right, Scope. You want to be a golf, seriously? Get your info right. The chop's coming.
Sorry, Chop. Yeah, let us know how many he has made. No, and that's a genuine. Like, tell us how many, because it felt like he hasn't made them for a while, at least. Maybe Maestro might know, but the point is, Chop, he hasn't been playing well.
That's the point. That's the point. All right,
That's
let's get to his national teams. Australian side. Do you know what the Australian side is?
Aussie side?
Yep.
I don't have it in. Let me get it up. This is bad radio as we're going through.
Bad radio.
Here we go, mate. All right, I've got Isaiah Yeo is captain. The debutants are Blake Brayley, Keon Kolomatangi, Mark Nwanganitawase, Jacob Preston, Gemma Chibasaki, Ethan Strange, and Reece Walsh. And then they join the incumbents in Paddy Carrigan, Nathan Cleary, Lindsay Collins, Xavier Coates, Ruben Cotter, Angus Crichton, Tom Dearden, Dylan Edwards, Tino Fasul-Malaawi, Harry Grant, Zach Lomax, Mitchell Moses, Cameron Munster, Lindsay Smith, Tony Staggs, and Hudson Young. I will just say there have been changes, haven't they? So Zach Lomax pulled out, and who else pulled out? Xavier Coates.
Xavier Coates, yep.
And we've now got Foxy and Bradman Best.
Yep. Thoughts?
It's going to be a fun Ashes series. I'm looking forward to it. We're travelling over there too, Beak. Me and Big Mace.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We got a tour party that we're going.
Okay.
So I can't wait for it. We're going to be there 2 days before the first test at Wembley. Wembley's going to be cool to see a game like this played in Wembley. It's been 20 plus years. The Poms are fired up. I don't know if you've seen the content around Sean Wayne, the coach for England. It's been the Poms in the rugby league version of the Ashes have not won a series since 1970.
No way.
1970. And the last time they've played, obviously, everyone's been talking about it, 2023. So Mace was a part of that tour group. They won 3-0. But if you go back and watch the games, super entertaining. Remember when Adrian Morley took Robbie Kearns' head off?
Yeah.
Off the kickoff?
No way.
And they only just lost that by a try too. So, this is. I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be a really entertaining series.
Okay, now have a listen. I just want you to listen to this Kiwi forward pack. This is what they could run out with: James Fisher-Harris, Moses Leota, Joseph Tarpane as their starting middles. Off the bench, they can have Nelson Asafa-Solomona. They can also have Aaron Clark, the Dally M winning 13.
Yep.
But I haven't even mentioned one of the boom front rollers of the competition, Nafua White.
Yeah.
And also Xavier Willison.
What about Mr. Stand on Business?
Xavier Willison. This forward pack, honestly, that's one of the best forwards packs I've ever seen.
Look, normally I'd get excited, Kempy, and look, I am a very proud Kiwi, but I'm looking at the Tongan squad, and they've got Adam Fanua-Blake, Jason Tomalolo, Stefano Uto-Ukamanu, stacked, and I'm probably missing some more here. Mo Fotuaika, Kulikefu Fuiaki, Felice, the juice is going to be after it. Felice Kafusi's going to go after everyone. He's going to try to take names. Siwa Wong, and then you look at the pack of Samoa. Payne Haas, obviously, is the big name that stands out. Terrell May, Junior Barlow's back in the fold. Josh Papali'i was playing like he was 25 years old this year. Jeremiah Nanai. This is going to be such a good pack, champs. I honestly haven't been excited about it up until this week. And it wasn't until the teams announced that I looked at the quality and the depth that we've now got in international footy. I started to go, you know what? This is going to be a really good series.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I cannot wait to see Tonga with Katoa at his best. To me, Katoa was the Dally M 7 of the year.
Yep.
It's one thing they've been missing. That forward pack with a guy like Katoa pulling the strings, it is really, really going to be so interesting to see what this Tongan side can do.
What about got like the young outside backs as well for Tonga? Isaiah Yongi, love him. Tolu Kola, seen him in the last game at Manly for Ches's last game at 4 Pines, and he said he was just going to work his backside off to get back and get fit for this game.
Alamotti.
Alamotti, he was just awesome. Lehigh Hopewadi,
Leka Halasima.
Leka Halasima in the back row.
Holy moly.
The Kiwis are going to be really fun as well. Keanu Kinney in the back line, Casey McLean, Ronaldo Mulat. The left edge is probably going to be most likely be Ronaldo Mulatalo on the left wing and Casey McLean left centre. As if those two aren't going to be talking their talk.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I mean, in the Tonga side, did you mention Uto Ikamanu and Veimunga?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I didn't mention Dimitrik actually. Then you got this is the part where I like about Samoa as well. They've always been renowned for big, strong forwards, strong outside, fast, strong outside backs. But if this young kid Benai Yalu, if he can develop over the next couple of years at the Roosters, then I reckon he's the missing piece. Jerome 7, Blaze Talangi at 6. Their fullback I had before was a gun as well. They've got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck as an option. There was one more that I was thinking, oh, you know what? Originally leading into us, I thought Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow was going to be playing for them. But apparently...
They could put Blaze back there.
Yeah, Blaze might go back there and they'll play...
Harris Tavita maybe at 6.
Harris Tavita or like in King Tongia.
Yeah, okay. But I'd probably go Harris Tavita and...
Jerome, most likely.
And then I'd go Blaze at the back. Is it Iolu? Is that how you say it? Iolu?
Benai Iolu.
He's pretty good. He was quite good at the Roosters.
He's crafty.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously a rookie. He's only played 10 games, but you can see that he's got something about him.
And he's an actual 9.
Yeah.
Usually they're getting utilities and putting them in 9.
Well, Chanel Harris-Tavita's played there before, like in that role.
Yeah.
Or Jazz Tavanga's had to play there. So, when you get an actual out-and-out 9...
Even in the World Cup, it was Luai and Crichton that were their halves. Crichton had to be their 6th.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden they've actually got enough halves to have someone in the reserves. Like their wingers are probably going to be what? Dean Mariner and Talangi, and then they've got RTS. Oh, got RTS there too. Would it be centre?
Simi Sasangi's probably a really good 14 for them that they haven't had in years past as well.
And then like off the bench, you've got Taylor May as well. Jesus.
Yeah, Taylor will be in the. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be good players are going to miss out.
Yeah, really good players
for all the teams.
What's insane about this is Origin level players are going to miss out.
Yep,
that's what's great. Like Tungo is also there. Wow, that's super cool. Okay, let's get our picks. Who's winning the Pac Champs this year?
I'm on the Kiwis. I'll be on the Kiwis no matter who they're playing. But it's going to be really tough. It's going to be important that they don't miss the jump against Samoa, who are going to be fired up. Samoa historically have been better as they've played in series or World Cups. They normally get better as the series goes on. So getting them at the start even though we've got young emerging players that we think can be something for them.
Yep.
I think the stability, even though it's not our probably best spine, having the veteran presence of guys like Kieran Foran and Dylan Brown, who've played in the halves for the Kiwis in a number of times in the last 5 years, is really going to help us off the back of a really strong forward pack.
Okay, I'm going to go Tonga. I'm going to go Tonga to get the win. Tonga to get the win. All right, in the series with Australia, what's the score? I'm going
the Poms for an upset.
Oh, I'm
dog. Going the Poms for an upset.
Kiwis coming out.
No.
Oh, my God.
That is not like... before when I grew up, because I grew up in a Kiwi in Australia, there was like, my dad used to portray this hate. Like we'd go for 2 teams, New Zealand and anyone playing Australia. That's the way. Now, I've been here for so long, you can't help adopt a love for the country that, you've had so much joy in. So it's not that. I just think England,
ambush,
November, Ashes, Sean Wayne, I rate him as a coach. I think he's a really good coach, been a good coach over there for a long time. And I think they've got an underrated squad that are going to sneak up on people.
Okay. And there is a sense of like, it's been such a big year for the NRL. Like, there is a sense that we're almost like limping to the Ashes to a degree.
And they've almost got, the Aussies have almost got like, it feels like there's too many good players in the one position.
Okay.
Like you've got Tom Dearden, Mitch Moses, Cam Munster, and Nathan Cleary, right? When you think about that dynamic, you've got to force all those 4 players into your best 3 probably.
Yep.
And then they're also ball dominant, mate. You don't want to take the ball out of the number 1's hands.
Yeah.
Like, how do they work that out? So that is going to be continuity, and how they work together is going to be something that they've got to figure out over there.
All righty, we're going to head to a break. Make sure to stay tuned. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All right, I'm going to ask you some way too early predictions. Skip a scope. Who will be the premiers next year?
Oh, I just got a text. Sorry. The Premier's next year. Who will be the Yeah, Broncos. Like,
You're
it's
going
hard,
back to back.
It's too hard to go against them right now.
What about Penrith?
I can't remove that performance from like the recency bias of watching that. So like it's still too fresh to think that if he doesn't play to that level that we all know that he's now capable of, I'm telling you, I think they're going to have teams beaten at the start of the year, Kempy, going into the game.
Okay. Runners up.
Runners up. Oh, I'd love to go with Smokey. But I think it's going to be Penrith.
Okay. Dally M winner.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't, get suspended, it'd be cool to see. Who else? I'm trying to be creative here, but no, let's go Reece Walsh.
Leading try scorer.
Leading try scorer. Is Marky Mark still there next year?
Yeah.
He is. He's got one more year, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Who else has been thereabouts? You know what? I'm going to go. I think the Dolphins are going to be a top 4 team next year. I'm going Hammer.
Yeah, that were my biggest movers, Dolphins.
Yep.
Okay. Wooden spoon.
Oh, wooden spoon. It's too hard. Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm really worried about the Knights, Manly, and Titans.
I'm expecting the Knights. I'm expecting the teams with new coaches to be better. They'll get some juice out of that.
Okay. Have you seen the Knights roster? Like it's a lot of young.
There are good players there.
100% there are.
So Kalen, Dylan Lucas, and Fletcher Sharp didn't play the last 6 weeks. So factor them in. They get more wins with those 3 in there.
But it's a very young roster that is at least a few years away from being good first graders. Like they're absolutely good players. They just need time. I don't know if they've got time.
The Dragons roster scares me.
Really? I think Dragons will go all right. Okay.
Depends on the development of
the young forwards.
The young, like Flano's got to get the best out of those young. Like those forwards, as good as I think they're going to be, maybe in 2 or 3 years, it could be similar to your Broncos, Kempy, when Payne Haas and Carrigan were coming through, and you've seen the talent, but they're just still way too raw and young, and maybe they're a year or 2 away.
Yeah, that's fair. Biggest improver.
Yeah, Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be a top 4 team.
The fact that they had the best attack of anyone in the competition, I think they were like 7th or 8th in defence. All they need to do is improve their defence by like a try and a half a game, and they're in the top 4.
Huge if. Agreed with everything that you just said there. Huge if. If the Rabbitohs can somehow stay healthy, then they are a genuine top 6 level team.
Man, I'll go top 4. As long as that 7 is sorted, like as long as Humphrey can just get around the park and Cody Walker stays injury-free, like everyone stays injury-free as much as you can, I'm with you. I think they'll be an absolute problem. All right, biggest slider.
Ooh, biggest slider. So who's 1, 2, 3, 4? I'm trying to think. Raiders were 1.
Ooh.
No, I'm going to go the Dogs.
The Dogs?
Yeah, I think the Dogs are going to slide, yeah.
Okay. So do you think that, because the concern I have with the Dogs now is, so Galvin arrives to the club, which I understand. You know, you watched the grand final and it really did drive home that the Bulldogs roster, they weren't going to get close to those 2 rosters going like that, or Penrith. But the worry I have is that what is the halves combination for the Bulldogs next year? Because Gus Gould has come out and said Galvin is not a 7. So that means Burton gets pushed to centre. That means Mitch Wood is debuting. So they might have a spine of Haywood, Woods, Galvin, Tracy.
Don't worry about what Gus says publicly. The conversations within the Bulldogs will be completely different. I think it really affected the culture in the group. And if they are able to pull it back, it's going to be a huge job for Ciro. If there is one man, like I don't have my doubts around Cam Cirotto one bit.
I'm with you, yeah.
But I just think the energy, the chat around the players, all the rumours around Connor Tracy and Matt Burton, and they've still got to re-sign Kickow. I think they feel like an unsettled playing group at the moment. And even though 2 of those guys are now moving on, I still think there is going to be a hangover from the back end of this year that may cost them up until Origin. They get on a bit of a run and they miss the 8 because of it.
Isn't it interesting that they essentially finished the same as last year, but the feeling of the Dogs is just doesn't feel right.
Feels yuck.
It feels like something isn't right at the club right now. But maybe that's just maybe I'm just feeling that because I'm reading all the headlines.
Well, I just got and part of this too. I just got to pick a team. So they were the team that went to into my mind straight away. So we just went with it. But they could. I've been doubting them for 2 years. So they probably want me to doubt them because
you got the Bulldogs fans that they think you hate them, eh?
Yeah, Bulldogs hate them. Big Lionel.
Okay. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, powered by Lontel Internet. That's right. You pay as you go per day, so you can adjust it. You can have high speeds, and you can lower the speeds. You can pause it. It is internet for the future, and it's premium internet. Go to lontel.net.au/bloke, and you can get 7 days free, no contract, and no credit card needed. Okay, text here. Interested to know where you boys have Tigers finishing in 2026. Me, finals drought finally broken, 8th. New Zealand Tiger in Oz. What do you reckon?
Exactly 8th.
Really?
8th. They make the 8.
I have them about 10th.
They make the 8.
You'll get them in the 8. Who's getting squeezed out then?
Dogs.
Wow.
Dogs finish just outside the 8.
You reckon the Tigers going to be better than the Dogs next year?
Yep.
Wow.
That's my gut feeling. Hey, by the way, Chop replied for us too. He's missed all the majors cuts this year. Not since joining Liv, but it's been a while, Chop.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Chop. Alrighty, we are done. Make sure to stay tuned for the run home. Really, really appreciate it, guys. The whole season's been incredible. Thank you so much for listening. I think I'm back next week, but if it is the last show of the year, really, really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, and have a great week.